89 hired guns down, not a single soul walked away. In under 20 minutes, an entire CJNG column was erased from existence. This happened right on the Reynosa Matamoros highway ground zero of what used to be the Gulf Cartel's untouchable empire. But here is the part that has the underworld shaking in its boots. This wasn't a standard firefight. It wasn't some random skirmish or a knee-jerk reaction. This was a textbook military trap where special forces turned 5 kilometers of highway into a precise kill box. See, when the Army's elite units flipped the script and used the cartel's own brutal tactics against them, the writing is on the wall. The old rules. They are dead and buried. Let's break down exactly how this surgical strike went down, because this changes everything in the Northeast. It started at 5:43 in the morning on a pitch-black Thursday. 17 armored monsters rolled out of a hideout near Reynosa. We aren't talking about a patrol run. This was a heavy assault squad pushing towards Ciudad Victoria. Intel says they were looking to wipe out key players from the Northeast cartel in a massive offensive. They were fully loaded and acting like they already owned the place, arrogant as hell. Little did they know, every inch of that road was rigged to be their graveyard. Special Ops had been prepping the stage for 48 hours. They intercepted satellite chatter and knew the exact path the convoy would take. They had the head count on the trucks, the number of shooters, the heavy weaponry, and even the names of the bosses leading the charge. With that data, they set up a masterclass ambush, the kind they'll be teaching in war colleges for decades. 300 elite operators, 8 kill zones, 5 kilometers of asphalt. They had thermal optics, secure comms, the works. 50 cals set up on the high ground and Barrett snipers locked into choke points. At 6:02 in the morning, the convoy rolled into the trap. 17 Rams and Silverados, all welded up with steel plating and bullet-resistant glass. 89 Sicarios packed inside, carrying rifles, grenade launchers, and enough ammo to start a small war. They felt safe. They'd run this route 100 times before. They thought Reynosa belonged to them, but the feds picked Tamaulipas to send a message: the game has changed. Picture this. You are in the convoy as the sun comes up. Your buddies are in the other trucks. The radio is blasting music, and your rifle is sitting on your lap. Then boom, the lead truck disintegrates. Not a blowout or an engine stall, but a remote mine vaporizing 3 tons of armor in a split second. 7 guys are gone before they can blink. The rest of the line slams on the brakes. Panic sets in. They try to swerve, and that is when the nightmare really starts. Bullets start raining down from both flanks. This wasn't spray and pray panic fire. This was rhythmic, disciplined shots from elite marksmen. Those 50 cals punched through the homemade armor like it was tissue paper. Anyone who bailed out got dropped instantly by a sniper. Grenades hit the fuel tanks and engine blocks with scary accuracy. Within 90 seconds, 12 trucks were burning wrecks. The few who survived the opening salvo tried to fight back. They scrambled out, guns blazing, hiding behind burning metal, trying to figure out where the shots were coming from. But they didn't stand a chance. The special forces held all the cards high ground, better guns, and total control. They predicted every single move. Every time the cartel tried to rally, they were cut down. It was pros versus rookies, and the outcome was decided before the first trigger pull. Desperation set in. 5 trucks at the back tried to whip around and run. They tried to backtrack, but the trap had a lid. Military Humvees blocked the exit. Then a gunship chopper screamed in from nowhere, spinning up a minigun that spits 3,000 rounds a minute. Those last 5 trucks were turned to scrap metal in less than 40 seconds. Runners attempting to vanish into the roadside brush didn't stand a chance. Thermal optics painted them like bright ghosts for the cleanup crews waiting in the dark. This wasn't a battle. It was a sealed trap. A textbook kill box engineered to ensure 0 exits. The final target flatlined at exactly 6:21 in the morning, just 19 minutes after the first shot. The tally 89 confirmed fatalities. No injured, no arrests, not a single soul left breathing. And that right there is the detail that has the entire underworld sweating cold bullets. Because usually, you see handcuffs, interrogations, wounded suspects singing to cut a deal. But this time, absolute silence. This mission had one goal, and it wasn't justice or jail time. It was a complete and total purge of a threat. We are witnessing a brutal new standard, a shift in tactics that nobody wants to talk about but everyone can see. As the sun broke, the aftermath looked like something out of the end times. 17 twisted wrecks scattered across 5 kilometers of highway. Smoke was still rising from the metal skeletons, while others had been burned down to nothing but ash. 89 corpses, riddled with heavy-duty rounds. You couldn't even see the blacktop for the carpet of brass casings. Early reports suggest the military unleashed a storm of over 15,000 rounds. They recovered a staggering haul: 73 assault rifles, 19 grenade launchers, 14 light machine guns, and enough ammo to wage a small war for hours. This wasn't street gang gear, it was military-grade hardware. Keep that in mind, because it changes everything. The ID list reads like a who's who of the underworld, striking a fatal blow to the organization's hierarchy. They took out Jose Guadalupe Hernandez, known as the 100, the mastermind running the show across the entire state. Luis Enrique Padilla, the Padi, leader of their special forces, is gone. So is Ramiro Soto Beltran, the Rambo, their key link for gun running north of the border. But the biggest trophy, Armando Gonzalez Trevino, the elusive figure known as the Ghost, who, after the fall of the top brass and that infamous funeral bloodbath, was ranked number 3 in the entire syndicate. Let's stop pretending this was random chance. This is the next chapter in a calculated playbook that started with the head of the snake and escalated through that graveyard ambush. And now, the violence in the north has just hit a terrifying new peak. The powers that be have decided to wipe this group off the map. Unleashing every weapon, they have to ensure total erasure, no matter how grim the optics are. This is scorched earth tactics, take no prisoners, and while plenty of folks are cheering, we have to question the cost when the authorities switch from arresting suspects to executing them on sight. Down in the border towns, the mood is a bizarre cocktail of panic and gratitude. Panic, because waking up to 89 bodies on your doorstep is nightmare fuel, regardless of who they were. But gratitude, because the locals are exhausted by the syndicate's grip, worn down by the bloodshed that started the moment these outsiders tried to take over the territory 3 years back. The old guard was corrupt and vicious, sure, but they had rules. They knew how to keep a low profile. The new rivals brought chaos, war in the streets, displays of brutality, and fear for everyone. So, while some see this slaughter and think good riddance, we need to look at the darker picture. Because if the military is setting traps that leave absolutely nobody breathing, where do we draw the line between a battle and a government-sanctioned hit? Every law on the books says even the worst offenders get their day in court. They're supposed to be brought in alive, not put down like rabid dogs. But there were no handcuffs here. This was a setup built for body bags, not booking photos. And that triggers a moral crisis that's going to haunt the country for a long time. Watchdog groups are already screaming for answers. You've got major international agencies stepping in, all demanding to know if the force used was overkill, if the rules of engagement were thrown out the window, or if surrendering men were gunned down in cold blood. Officials claim it was a fair fight, that they took fire first, and simply returned fire to match the aggression. But whispers from the scene describe a methodical cleanup, finishing off those who were already down. A planned liquidation. Here is the twisted irony that splits public opinion. Are we supposed to grieve for 89 cartel shooters? These are guys who likely dealt in misery, kidnapping, extortion, erasing people. They signed up for the game knowing the stakes. It's tempting to look at the carnage and say, they had it coming, justice is served. But if we accept a world where the government acts as judge, and do it, an executioner in the middle of a highway, but where do we draw the line? How are we any different from the very monsters we are hunting down? Here is the jagged pill to swallow. A massive slice of the Mexican public is actually cheering for this slaughter. The internet caught fire with praise. dropping memes that hero worship the vigilantes and begging for this same brutal justice nationwide. People are just exhausted by the cartel wars, sick of the lawlessness, and tired of watching captured villains walk free because of some loophole in the paperwork. So when they witness something this final, something permanent, they don't look away. They stand up and applaud. And honestly, that reaction should scare us just as much as the bloodshed, because it proves we are losing faith in the gavel and turning to the gun. The Gulf organization sits in a fascinating spot here, considering this ambush went down on their turf against their biggest rivals. Whispers are already circulating that Gulf insiders might have tipped off the military to set this trap, that they handed over the blueprints, the exact routes, the timing, and who exactly was in that column. A dark partnership where the government brought the thunder and the Gulf brought the eyes. If that holds water, we are looking at a handshake between the state and the underworld. It is not exactly a first for Mexico, but you rarely see it executed with this kind of devastating precision. Meanwhile, the Northeast faction is swooping in like vultures to pick the bones. Intel suggests they are already flooding the zones left empty by that obliterated convoy, scrambling to seize the throne before the CJNG can get back on its feet. It is a breathless land grab where every second matters, and the feds seem to be turning a blind eye. As long as the targets are CJNG, pure strategy. The enemy of my enemy is my best friend for now. Tactically, it makes sense, but strategically, you are betting on the devil you know to beat the devil you don't. The family of Ghost, the high-value target erased in the ambush, isn't staying quiet. They have lawyered up, papers are flying, and they are threatening to drag this whole mess onto the global stage. Their angle, it was a state-sanctioned hit. They claim he could have been taken in cuffs, that his rights were trampled. And on paper, they might have a case, but good luck finding a jury of public opinion that weeps for a kingpin. It is a legal Hail Mary, but it could draw a line in the sand regarding just how far the military can push in this shadow war. The coming days in Tamaulipas are going to be a powder keg, because that organization isn't the type to take a punch and walk away. They lost 89 soldiers, top-tier commanders, and their reputation as untouchables. That hurts. They have to prove they still have teeth. They need to show they aren't broken, that they can bite back hard. And that proof usually arrives in the form of retaliation against soft targets, against badges, uniforms, anyone to reclaim that image of power. But the state is ready. They have flooded the zone. 1,000 extra boots on the ground at key choke points, heavy patrols on the highways, surprise nets on the back roads, and eyes in the sky watching every shadow move. They are digging in for a war, and that tells you they know the dust hasn't settled, that the bloodiest chapter might just be starting. But catch this detail most folks miss: the mental toll this wipeout takes on operatives across the map. If a whole unit can be erased in Tamaulipas, who is to say they aren't next in Jalisco, Guanajuato, or Michoacan? Suddenly, every foot soldier is checking over his shoulder before rolling out, second-guessing their safety in numbers. Fear is the ultimate weapon, and the state just injected a lethal dose of it into the ranks. It kills recruitment too. It is easy to sell the life to an 18-year-old easy cash. Some danger, you'll be a king. It is a harder sell when the pitch is, sign up, and the army might just vaporize your whole crew, no questions asked. The body counts from this op are going to circulate like ghost stories, turning into grim folklore on the streets, scaring the hell out of potential fresh meat. Long term, that is more effective than 1,000 handcuffs. But let's keep it real. This strategy has a ceiling. You can't ambush convoys every Tuesday. You can't sustain that level of intensity. It burns through resources and demands perfect intel, plus a little tactical luck. And every time you swing, the enemy learns, adapts, and changes the game. The next column won't be so exposed. They will find new paths, new shields, stricter countermeasures in play. It is a tactical arms race where both sides are constantly adapting, and the financial toll is impossible to ignore. We are talking about an operation that likely burned through tens of millions of pesos in a heartbeat. When you tally up the choppers, the endless crates of ammo, the troop deployment, and the high-tech surveillance. The bill is massive, and the security budget is already stretched thin. Every dollar dumped into a raid like this is a dollar ripped away from other critical infrastructure. It forces a brutal cost-benefit analysis. Is it really worth blowing a fortune to take out 89 shooters when fresh recruits will likely fill their boots in a matter of weeks? From a tactical standpoint, sure, but strategically, that is a whole other debate. The rumor mill is already spinning out of control, claiming this was a revenge mission for the ambush in Aguascalientes against the Special Forces unit known as the Bats. Others say it was pure theater, a flex of military muscle designed specifically for an audience north of the border. Washington is applying serious pressure for results on the fentanyl crisis, leading to whispers that this was coordinated directly with the CIA and DEA. Darker theories suggest those foreign agents had strict orders to leave 0 survivors to ensure 0 leaks. Some of this might hold water, while the rest is just wild fantasy. But the fact that these stories are spreading just proves how deep the distrust runs regarding the official government narrative. Then there is a bone-chilling detail leaked by an anonymous military insider regarding the seized convoy. Authorities reportedly uncovered a stash of authentic military uniforms and forged identification cards. The blueprint was terrifying. The cartel planned to disguise its hitmen as soldiers to stage a massacre, aiming to shatter public trust in the armed forces. If that intel is solid, and they had pulled it off, the damage to the social fabric would have been catastrophic. So, let's be real. This ambush didn't just neutralize a physical threat. It dodged a PR nightmare that could have destroyed the Army's reputation. Meanwhile, the locals living in the blast zone are left with deep psychological scars. They describe a war zone, deafening explosions, the relentless rattle of machine guns, and ominous columns of black smoke choking the sky. Families barricaded themselves inside, praying the violence wouldn't crash through their front doors. Now, a new terror sets in, the fear that the cartel will circle back to hunt down anyone they suspect of snitching to the army. And that terror is valid, because this group has a bloody track record of punishing entire villages for perceived betrayal. You only have to look at the carnage left behind in Michoacán, Guanajuato, and Jalisco. Every incident was a gruesome message that cooperating with the law carries a fatal price. The people of Tamaulipas are stuck in a deadly vice. Aid the government, and the cartel might wipe them out. Stay silent, and the state brands them as conspirators. You cannot win when you are caught in the crossfire of a war you never chose. The fallout from this raid is going to dictate the playbook for national security moving forward. If the public cheers this on as a total victory, expect the military to double down on these annihilation tactics. We are looking at more ambushes, more take-no-prisoners assaults, and all-out warfare in the streets. But if the outcry over the body count and lack of due process gets too loud, they might pivot back to a strategy focused on arrests and courtrooms. Mexico is standing on a razor's edge, trying to decide what kind of nation it wants to be in this fight. Here is the hard truth. Both sides of the argument are bringing valid points to the table. Proponents of the raid point to a history of weak tactics that fell flat, citing a revolving door for perps and rising chaos. Critics, however, argue that the law is absolute. The law has to apply to everyone, even the worst among us. Turning into an execution squad brings us down to their level. Anyone claiming there is an easy fix is lying to you. One thing is undeniable. The CJNG is feeling the squeeze like never before. In under 30 days, they lost a top boss, suffered a massive blow at a funeral, and now 89 operators are gone in Tamaulipas. Those are the kind of hits that can bankrupt a criminal empire. The real mystery is whether this breaks them or if they pull a Hydra move where every blow just spawns more chaos and violence. We could see a fragmentation that creates smaller, nastier cells fighting for scraps. The next few months are going to write the history of organized crime in this region. Either the group rebuilds and proves it is bulletproof, or it shatters into warring factions that tear each other apart. And honestly, it is hard to say which nightmare scenario is worse for the country. A single massive empire or 20 chaotic splinters. History proves that shattering the giants usually triggers a bloodbath, not peace. So tell me, was that raid a triumph of justice, or a sanctioned hit? Should the government play by the cartel's dirty rules? Or does that strip away our moral high ground? How high does the body count go before we admit the current battle plan is a total failure? Where is the line between safety and tyranny? If this deep dive showed you the dark reality behind the headlines, hit that like button to see through the official smoke and mirrors and get the real story on the drug war. Subscribe and ring the bell. Tomorrow, we are tracking the CJNG's brutal retaliation as rival gangs swarm the empty throne, plus the massive legal fallout sparked by operations of this scale. 89 souls lost in exactly 19 minutes. Not one survivor, leaving the country asking if we are actually winning or just getting better at the killing game. That distinction counts, even if it feels like it is fading fast. The story of that 19-minute ambush is more than a tale of guns, tactics, and power. Beneath the smoke and chaos lies a deeper lesson about the true cost of violence. When conflict becomes routine and human lives are reduced to numbers in a report, society risks losing something far more valuable than any battlefield victory: its sense of humanity. For many communities living under the shadow of organized crime, fear has been a daily reality for years. People grow up surrounded by threats, corruption, and the belief that violence is the only language power understands. But moments like this should force us to ask a harder question: how did the world reach a point where young men are drawn into cycles of crime, war, and death before they even have the chance to build a different future? Real strength does not come from destruction. It comes from building systems that protect communities, offering education, opportunity, and hope strong enough to compete with the lure of crime. When societies invest in justice, transparency, and support for the next generation, they weaken the roots that allow violence to grow. The lesson is clear: peace is not created by fear alone. It is created when people choose courage over corruption, opportunity over desperation, and humanity over hatred. The future depends on those choices.